I spent my whole life watching my sister take everything, attention, praise, even my identity. But on my wedding day, she crossed a line I never saw coming. She showed up in a white wedding dress and demanded to walk the aisle before me, with my mother backing her. That's when I knew if I stayed silent, they'd take everything. But not this time. My name is Emma Caldwell, born and raised in Asheville, a small, peaceful city nestled in the Appalachian Mountains of North Carolina. To outsiders, everyone thought I had an ideal family. A charming old house with a porch covered in flowers, a mother who taught elementary school, a father who owned a small woodworking shop outside town, and a sister, Lauren Caldwell. Beautiful, intelligent, perfect, like she stepped out of a teen magazine cover. They said I was lucky. They didn't know anything. I didn't envy Lauren. I couldn't. Because from a very young age, I understood that I had no chance of comparing myself to her. Lauren was always the right daughter. Golden blonde hair, gentle blue eyes, every word measured, smiling gracefully as if the whole world tilted toward her. And me, brown hair, pale skin, scrawny, clumsy. I was just a blur behind the light she radiated. In this house, Lauren was the chandelier in the living room. I was the shadow on the floor. Every dinner, Mom would always ask, "Lauren, did you have fun at school today?" As for me, whether I was sitting there or not, no one bothered to check. When I was 8, I wrote a poem about winter. My teacher gave it an A+, stuck a gold star on it, and even sent it home to my mom with a note. Emma has a clear talent for literature. I brought it home excitedly, holding it up like a gift. Mom took it, glanced at it, then set it on the table, turned to Lauren, and asked, "Have you finished your advanced math homework? If you need, I can print more practice sheets." I stood there, the paper still in my hand, staring at the word excellent, that no longer meant anything. That night, I folded the poem and tucked it into a small notebook under my pillow. For the first time, I knew what it felt like to feel invisible. I studied hard, not because I loved learning, but because it was the only way anyone might glance at me for more than 3 seconds. I was the kid who earned a scholarship in 9th grade, but no one from my family came to the award ceremony. Mom was busy at Lauren's parent-teacher conference. Dad? I don't remember what he said, but any excuse was enough for him not to show up. Lauren was there only to tell her friends that I always raised my hand in class like I was hyperactive. I didn't cry. I learned to swallow my tears, like how you learn to hold your breath underwater. I started hiding behind books, immersing myself in stories about girls who overcame darkness, escaped family prisons, and sought new lives. And I didn't know when I'd have that, but I knew I needed to leave. I left home for the first time in the summer when I was 17. Not the dramatic runaway kind, like in movies, no tears, no screaming, no suitcase spilling open. Just a 5 a.m. bus to Raleigh for a summer program before college. A small scholarship I'd hunted down myself. I called it walking out the door with a one-way ticket, even though the return date was already printed on the round-trip pass. Mom didn't take me to the bus station. She only said, "Remember to stay quiet. Don't let anyone think you're an ill-mannered kid." She said that a lot. Every time I spoke up to defend myself. Every time I accidentally cried because I was wrongly blamed. Every time I tried to claim a tiny piece of space in the sky, Lauren had completely taken over. Dad didn't say anything. He was never one for words. Nor was he ever one to take my side. Lauren gave a light smile, placed her hand on my shoulder, like a lady bestowing a blessing on a rescued child. "Do your best, Emma. Don't let people down." I smiled, didn't reply. She didn't know that I was already used to letting people down, and because of that, I had nothing left to lose. Raleigh wasn't paradise, but at least it didn't have Lauren. I rented a shared room with two girls from other states, all three of us strangers, all three carrying our own scars in our voices. No one asked if I had a sister. No one compared. They only asked what I liked to eat, if I wanted to go for a walk, if I wanted to study together. For the first time, I felt I didn't need to shrink myself. At night, I lay under the soft golden glow of a desk lamp, writing an email to myself. Today, no one called me Lauren's little sister. And that's a victory. I started to feel I existed, not because of anyone, not as anyone's shadow, but through the silence I'd turned into strength. And it was in this city, during a boring career planning workshop, that I met Ethan. Ethan wasn't like others. He didn't try to impress, didn't boast, didn't flaunt achievements. He only asked me 3 things when we sat next to each other in our first group session. Do you like quiet or noise? If you could relive one day from your past, which would you choose? When you're sad, what do you do? I'd never been asked those questions. Not sincerely. I said, I like quiet. I wouldn't choose any day. And when I'm sad, I don't tell anyone. Ethan nodded, no pity, no advice. He just said, that's okay. Some people are born to be quiet, but no one's born to disappear. I don't know why that sentence made me want to cry so much. Maybe because it was the first time I didn't feel like I was a mistake. I got a call from Mom one October afternoon when the early autumn breeze began tilting golden leaves outside the window of the small apartment I rented near the university. I need you to come home. Your dad had a work accident at the wood shop. We don't know how bad it is yet. Mom's voice was calm, like she was reporting the weather. No rush, no choking up, but my chest still tightened, not exactly out of worry for Dad, but because of the word home she just mentioned. I'd never dared to fully call that place home. I went back the next day. Lauren picked me up at the bus station, still the same Lauren from years before. Fitted dress, beige coat, sleek hair. A smile so faint you couldn't tell if it was friendly or condescending. You really look different, she said, her eyes scanning me like an inspection. Thinner? But more mature, I guess. I didn't reply. Just pulled my luggage into the car and stayed silent the whole ride back. Dad was in the hospital. Broken hip and spinal injury, possibly needing months of physical therapy. When I arrived, he was asleep. I sat by his bed, looking at his face strangely. I felt nothing. No anger, no pity, no sadness. Just an old man sleeping. Not the man who'd called me a stubborn, ungrateful kid. Not the man who'd turned away when my sister humiliated me in front of the family. Just someone about to break. Lauren was busy making calls, arranging everything. Mom only talked to her, as if I were a random nurse stopping by. That evening, as I ate a cold dinner in the kitchen, Mom walked in and said, "You should stay a few weeks. Lauren will handle the finances. You help me look after your dad." I looked up, for the first time in my life, staring at her for a long moment. I have classes, I have a job, I have my own life. Mom frowned. Lauren has her own life too, but she still manages. Oh, so it's still the same. I smiled, set my spoon down, then tell Lauren to take care of Dad. I don't live on miracles. That night, I stayed in my old room, the place where I used to hide from every hurt. Still the pale blue walls, still the old bookshelf. But it all felt like an empty shell. I opened my suitcase, took out my phone, and texted Ethan. Everything's still the same, but I'm not the same anymore. He replied in under a minute. Then don't let them pull you back to the old you. I set the phone down, looked in the mirror, and for the first time in years, I saw myself not needing to apologize for existing. I knew I was about to leave this place. But not in silence like before. This time, I'd leave with my head high and eyes wide open. 3 years after I left Asheville for the last time, I got engaged. No one in my family was told early. I wanted to keep my peace for as long as possible. Only Ethan and those who truly cared about me knew. And that was enough. The wedding was planned in a small town in the Boone Mountains, where Ethan and I had our first trip together. A cozy wedding, not extravagant, but mine for once in my life. I sent an invitation to my parents' house with a short note. I'm getting married on June 10. If Dad's well enough, I'd be happy if he came. I didn't expect much, but less than a week later, Lauren called. Her voice was sweet to the point of being fake. Emma, Mom and I were talking about your wedding. We think it'd be more meaningful if I walked down the aisle before you. I went silent. You're a guest, I replied. The one walking before me will be the maid of honor. But, you know, Lauren continued, her voice light as a feather but cold as stone, our family tradition is the older sister marries first. You getting married before me? It's a bit odd, isn't it? I couldn't believe my ears. And then Mom called right after. No congratulations, no questions, just one sentence. You shouldn't do something that hurts your sister, especially on such an important day. Hurt. They said I was hurting Lauren. And the years of hurt I'd had to grit my teeth and swallow, what did they count for? Ethan listened to me recount it, not angry, not surprised, just quiet for a long while, then smiled faintly. So they still haven't changed. I nodded, my eyes stung. Not from pain, but from anger, from exhaustion. What can we do? I asked. Ethan stood, opened his laptop, and pulled up a seating chart for the wedding. We'll let them think they're still the center. Then they'll pull down their own stage curtain. I looked at him, my heart pounding like a drum. This is why I love him. Not just because he's kind, but because he knows how to protect me when I haven't yet learned to protect myself. The wedding day came in a light June mist. Everything was as I dreamed, a simple, white lace dress, lavender flowers lining the aisle, Nora Jones's music playing among the pines. I didn't cry until the moment I saw Ethan standing at the end of the aisle, his eyes looking at me like the whole world was contained in that moment. And then, chaos began. Lauren showed up in a white dress, floor length, hair pinned up high, makeup elaborate. She didn't stand in the guest row as assigned in the seating chart, but walked straight to the front of the aisle. My mother stood up with her, holding a bouquet. My father sat still, avoiding my gaze. The entire room went quiet. Ethan signaled the band to stop. Sorry, he said, his voice clear and resonant. She's not part of the wedding party. Lauren turned to Mom, flustered. Mom gritted her teeth and whispered, but it was too late. Everyone had seen. Everyone understood. Then Ethan turned to all the guests, calm. We deeply appreciate the presence of family, but today is Emma's day, and only Emma's. No one spoke, only the sound of Lauren retreating, her high heels clacking on the wooden floor. I stood there, in my wedding dress, and for the first time, I felt chosen. Not because I was prettier, not because I was better behaved, but because I was worthy. 2 weeks after the wedding, I wrote a letter. Not because I still wanted to hold on to anything, but because I wanted to put a period, clear, final. Not to retaliate, but to set myself free. I didn't send an email. I wrote by hand. In blue ink on the kind of paper Mom liked to use when I was little. Dear Mom, I'm not sure you'll read all these lines, but I'll write as if you're truly listening for the first time. On my wedding day, you tried to turn it into a performance where Lauren was the star. But you forgot this. I'm no longer the little Emma standing at the corner of the dinner table, silently listening to her speak for me. I've changed. Not because of you, but because of you. My whole childhood, I tried everything, being better behaved, studying harder, being more considerate, just to be acknowledged by you. A word of praise would have been enough. A proud glance would have been enough. But no, you always turned to her, and that hurt me more than any blow ever could. But today, I'm writing this letter not to blame, but to say, I've let go. I no longer need you to love me. I don't need you to apologize either. I just need you to understand this. I've lived a life without you by my side. And I'm okay. In fact, I'm happy. Lauren can keep being your gem. As for me, I'll be the ground, not sparkling, but steady. And from now on, I'll walk on that ground without looking back. Goodbye, Mom. Emma. I slipped the letter into an envelope, no stamp. I placed it on the doorstep of the old house when Ethan and I stopped by Asheville one last time to clear out my things. I didn't expect a reply, didn't need anyone to answer, because now I'm whole in myself. I love myself enough not to beg for affection from a place that once hurt me. And as our car rolled out of town, I didn't turn back. Not out of hate, but because I knew I had truly moved on